Chapter 5. New and Old Friends. The next morning's chores demanded attention at the rooster's crowing, whether or not a school day was in the plans. Young Jenny did, however, take the luxury of returning to the warm, cozy bed she had so many mornings been forced to leave. It would occur to her much later that it was Saturday, but the intrinsic pleasure waned after no more than half an hour. Aroused to action, she proceeded to attack a number of household duties, which, in a more pressing moment, she would gladly have skipped. She fussed about tidying and cleaning and finishing a number of odd assignments she had been meaning to get to for the last 5 months. At 11, she decided on the definite need for a swim. Slipping into faded work jeans and throwing a towel around her neck, she skipped through the cedars to Anahuac Creek. The pungent, aromatic presence of pine pollen permeated the air, baked in the heated morning sun. Anahuac Shoals were the nearest bathing place. A rocky outcropping nestled amidst 2 steep hills leading out of the valley. It provided little opportunity for swimming, but more than compensated for this shortcoming with numerous and intricate waterfallings. A wader could lose herself in her imagination, which was just the sort of activity that lured Jenny this morning. Once the smooth green algae had grown enough to cover some of the rocky slopes, it provided a scintillating slide that had thrilled many a childhood heart. It was doubtful much growth would be found this early in the spring, but one could always hope. Good grief, won't the water be chilly, Jenny thought, peering up the hillside. Pressing through the newly sprouting growth, she saw outlined in the distance, against the bright green and purple of the forest, a horse. Farther on, kicking spray in an eddy, she spied Dewey Favors. Jenny ran excitedly over the rocks and rotting leaves. She shouted, "Hey, how's the water?" Dewey was trying to entice the horse out of the creek, but it snorted and reared in nervous agitation. The animal plunged and sidestepped as the waters cascaded around his long, sinewy legs. Dewey laughed and kicked and splashed up at the animal. Calling to Jenny, he hollered, "Come on in, Towser thinks it's fun." Splashing through the cacophonous spray, Jenny took the bridle, her eyes aglow. Confronting the animal head-on, she calmly patted its forehead and instructed his every action. She led him out of the pool and scrambled up the rocky embankment to a soft plateau a few feet above the creek. Away from the noise of the rushing water, the horse was immediately calmer, and Jenny urged him to walk slowly around with her in the soft pine straw. After a few minutes, 2 girls appeared from the woods to investigate the commotion. Dewey, languishing near the creek, sapped a spray of water onto the opposite shore, but it fell short of the 2 children. The little one, a tart blonde with silky flowing hair, her feet planted firmly apart, with arms crossed in an inquisitive manner, was chewing on a slip of green plant. Her eyes, agog at the scene, were blue and very round. The older girl, much slimmer, with long dark hair clustered in waves upon her neck, watched stoically. "Hello, Dewey," began Dewey, breathless. "Fine morning to maim a horse, don't you think?" "Oh, sure," Dewey protested. "That old coot's the most disrespectful animal in the county. Once he caught sight of you, there was no containing him." "True, he does seem to enjoy my company," she commented, stroking the damp mane. Glancing about at the awkwardness, Dewey began. "I suppose a few introductions are in order. The young lady so fortuitously posing with my horse is Miss Jennifer Stanhill of Douglas County. And these, my good lady, although I'm sure I know not why I deserve them, are my cousins from Atlanta, Elizabeth Ann and Rachel Lee Witherspoon." "I'm not sure I should be pleased at my charming cousin's comment or not," Rachel Lee retorted, with a sly smile to Jenny. "The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away," grinned the boy. "Friends call me Rady, Jenny." Jenny tied Towser to a tree and, slipping down the bluff, returned to the group. She looked the guest over closely, addressing Elizabeth. She asked, "Come up to go wading this morning?" Out flew the silky blonde strands of hair as the young cherub shook her head vigorously. "No," she said, firmly clutching her elbows. "Oh, you mustn't let that old horse scare you. He just loves the water. We'll keep him away from you." "No," Miss Elizabeth replied. "Don't you like the water?" Ginny asked, perplexed at the girl's reticence. "No," she replied very decidedly. "Oh," said Ginny, quite taken aback, turning to the older girl. Brady replied, "It's no use asking her. Her head is full of awfully strange notions." "But I'm not scared," chimed Elizabeth abruptly. "No, of course not. But won't you tell me why you don't care for horses?" Ginny inquired gently. "Their teeth are ugly and they have bad breath," stated the cherub positively, placing her towel and accoutrements neatly beneath a small fern. With that pronouncement, she trotted into the creek. Ginny, laughing, resolved to improve the state of human equine relations at the first opportunity. She patted Towser on the forehead and ran to the others who had now all jumped into the foray of cascading water and spray. Laughing and shouting punctuated the warm spring air. The group kicked, splashed, and floundered in the cool, crisp water. Ginny even managed to slide down the mossy green wall of a rock and splashed into a deep, frothing pool. The sun, now almost directly overhead, pierced the tall green pines and lit the algae creek water with wavering glimmers of bright white light that shimmered as they frolicked across the many ripples generated by the chaotic activity. Fan sprays of water flew in their arms as each intently strove to drown the others in aqueous plummeting. The timid creek water had lifted them all to a new magical place. Cool sapphires, blues, and greens framed and enveloped their play world.